good name for cat food than cat food does. But Harrington knew exactly what it meant and jumped to the ground, meowing various cat sounds for, "Don't be stupid, of course that's what I want." Fernie went to the cabinet, where she was faced with a choice between the ordinary nougums that Harrington ate most of the time and the special nougums that he was given whenever the family wanted to include him in a festive occasion. She opened a can of the special nougums and plopped it into a bowl, which Harrington successfully ignored for about 5 seconds, just to make sure he didn't look grateful. While he was nose down in his bowl, Fernie left the room to wash off all the dust and change into clean clothes. She returned looking a lot more like she hadn't been around any collapsing staircases recently, wearing fresh jeans and a bright blue t-shirt bearing a skull with a pink ribbon. She also carried a spiral notebook and her favorite writing pen, which ended with a small plastic cartoon boa constrictor head. Then she walked over to the dinner table, where she took a seat and began to work. It took her a long time, many cross-outs, and several interruptions for crying before she found the best possible approach. The problem may have been the pen. Fernie had learned once, when she was in trouble and needed a ride home, that it was very difficult to make a serious call if the phone you borrowed from a friend was pink and covered with glitter. Now she had to write what could very possibly turn out to be her last goodbye to her mother, with a pen that ended with a small plastic cartoon boa constrictor head. As upset as she was, it left her wondering if writers in olden times felt silly writing all those tales of suffering and woe with quill pens. Fernie's mother was a professional adventurer who was always off filming TV specials of herself doing things like out skiing avalanches or hang gliding into volcanoes. She had been off for months now, on an expedition to some unconquered mountain or something, and had therefore missed everything that had happened to Fernie, her older sister Pearlie, and their dad since the family moved in across the street from the Gloom estate. It wasn't the kind of thing that could all be easily explained in a single letter, but now Fernie found herself having to, because there was a very real possibility that after she left the house today, she'd never be seen alive again. So she thought about it, and thought about it some more, and crumpled up so much paper that Harrington started rolling around on his back in the middle of the pile, and eventually had what worked out to be as good a summary of the basic situation as she could possibly manage.
Dear Mommy, I love you, and I hope that you never have to read this. I hope that I can throw this letter out before you get anywhere near it. I'm only writing this letter because maybe I won't. Maybe you'll walk in a week or a month from now, whenever you're finished with your trip, and find the house empty and us gone. You'll need this note then to know what happened to us. The big black house across the street is one of only a few shadow houses in the entire world. Shadows live there. By that, I mean actual shadows. It turns out that the shadows that we walk around with, that do whatever we do, and that we don't think of as alive, are alive, and have a whole separate world that they live in, including that house. We discovered this when we moved in, and I met the boy who lives there, whose name is Gustav Gloom. He's my age, and he is now my best friend. A couple of hours ago, Dad and Pearlie were in the house and fell into a bottomless black pit leading to the dark country, where all shadows come from. They'll be stuck there forever, probably as the slaves of a really bad guy called Lord Obsidian, if me and Gustav don't go down there to rescue them. I don't know how to explain Lord Obsidian except that he used to be a man called Howard Philip October, who's done a lot of bad things in his life, including imprisoning Gustav's dad and killing the woman who would have been Gustav's mom. There's a reason why I call Gustav's mom the woman who would have been Gustav's mom, instead of just saying...